All right. Hopefully everyone can hear me. If you can hear me, give me a wave or a thumbs up in the chat box. And as we're continuing, what we're going to do today, we're going to ask that anyone that is on live currently, just share with us where you're currently from and or where you're logging in with us from today. Right. Hopefully everyone can hear me. All right. If you can hear me, give me. All right. I don't see any. I don't see anyone actually putting any information in the chat box here. Let me know where you're from, where you're logging in from. All right. Oh, we have Southern Adventist University. All right. We have South Carolina. And I see a couple of people joining here. Lamson Hall is in the building. New York, New York. All right. New York and Lamson seems like they're in the runnings currently. All right. All right. So as we give you some time to go ahead and join the chat, I just want to give you just the purpose as to why we're here today. We're here to suggest that the model and the mantra and the thing that you can do for your entire life while you're here at Andrews and beyond Andrews is that you were created with this concept and this belief. You're created with this ideal made to thrive. So here on the ThriveCast, what we're trying to do is just illustrate and impress upon you the reason why you were created, made to matter, made to speak, made to believe, made to explore, made to dream, made to move, but ultimately made to thrive. But today we have a special guest. But before I get into our special guest, let me recap a couple of the previous ThriveCast episodes that we have, starting with the most recent with Dr. Medina that taught us that when we need to talk about exercising versus physical activity, there needs to be a line of demarcation to understand that there's structure that's involved in it. And then prior to him, we had head chaplain Jose Bourget, where he actually talked to us about Made to Matter and also told us the theme for the Center for Faith Engagement, which is Love is Life. And so he gave us more information about that and taught us that we were created and made to matter. And then also here I am. I had an opportunity to kick everything off with the aspect of made to thrive. So Below Me had an opportunity to share with you everything that we're discussing today. But today I know I cannot do any justice, and any words I would use would actually miss the mark if I were to begin to describe the Thriver feature for today. We have with us the one and only Rachel Keele. I'll just tell you a little bit about her, and hopefully as we begin, she'll tell you more about herself and things that I may have left off. But one thing I know is I heard her story before I met her. I met her husband. Anybody knows one of the head deans, Donnie actually gave me a huge testimony of what he and his wife had to go through after they were married in 2009. But they've blessed our campus. Rachel has been with us for 10 years now. She was the head dean at Lamson Hall. She's a group and certified personal fitness instructor, but she's also now the director over the Center for Wellness. So she has a gamut of things underneath her belt. But without further ado, I would like to bring on board the one and the only Rachel Keele. So Rachel, if you can actually seek to join again, and so I can bring you on, that way I will actually be able to introduce you to the crowd. Let's see. All right, we're waiting for Rachel to join. And as we wait for Rachel to join, just let us know how your day's going in the chat. Let us know how your day's going in the chat. Let's see. Give me a second. I'm looking forward to. All right, we have someone here all the way from North Carolina letting us know that they're looking forward to actually joining the AU community. All see if I can bring Rachel on here. Let me see. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's see if it works, Rachel. All right, I think it's working. Oh my goodness. Beauty has come on the screen. Beauty has come on the screen. Rachel, how you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, Denard?
I'm good. And if you can see from your side of things, Denard is not an Instagrammer. I'm a Facebook fan all day, every day. So, but without further ado, I just wanted to introduce you in the best way, in the best format possible by a person that is now, I would say, an arch enemy. I found out that you like Apple product. Is that true?
It is. I'm pretty Apple loyal. I mean, sometimes all technology is annoying sometimes, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, Donnie and I have been pretty Apple loyal like the whole time we've been married. So
You know
for a
what?
while.
You know what? There's some things that we make mistakes doing in life,
Okay.
and I believe that's one of them. I'm Team Android over here. So if we can just take a moment to see in the chat, what team are you? Are you Team Android or Team Apple? Let
Let's
Rachel
see
know
it.
that
Let's
she's
see
standing on the wrong side today. You
it.
know, the Bible gave us a choice of life or death, and I know that Apple was born to die. So let's see.
Where
Let
are
us
the
know
Apple
where you're at.
users? Show us where you're at. Give me some support here.
I don't know if you'll get that. I don't know if
Apple.
you'll get that
All
at all.
right. I see one. Apple.
Okay, okay. I'm not seeing
Team
that. I'm
Apple
just
all
skipping it.
day.
I'm skipping
Apple.
it. I'm skipping it. I'm skipping it. I'm skipping it. But
You made
Rachel,
this bed, Denard.
I know
Apple. There we go.
okay, okay, all right. Thank you. Stop, please. Stop, please. All right. So as we rein things back in here, Rachel, you know that there's a lot that Dominique has done, and I cannot replace her. And so,
Yeah.
but she likes to start with a couple of things, and I had a chance to share with everyone to get to know a little bit more about myself. So I want to just ask you a question before we kick things off and give you the floor to share with us why you're a Thriver feature and why thriving is something that you don't just do by word, but through your lifestyle. Can you share with me what your favorite fruit is?
So my most favorite fruit is one I do not get very often, and it's the passion fruit.
Mm,
And I'm someone that really likes like sour things, and passion fruits are like really, at least, I don't know. I think they're supposed to be this way because I only ever get them from Meyer here, so they probably made like a really long journey, but they're like sour and sweet. They're very small usually, so you don't get a lot of it, and it's expensive when you get them at Meyer because it's a tropical
yes,
fruit. But
yes.
whenever I see them there, I drop the like $5 to it smells like passion fruit. I'm about it. It's my
Oh,
fave.
wow. Wow,
Mm-hmm.
wow, wow, wow. So you just basically told us that you have rich taste, basically.
I have expensive taste in fruit, yes.
But and I shared a little bit about you, but I know that my words missed the mark. So I just want to ask if you can share a little bit about why Dominique actually asked you to come on to be our first Thriver feature for this ThriveCast episode.
Oh, well, um, so I think for me, thriving in terms of like wellness and fitness has been a journey over the years. When I was in college or first out of college, it was not something that was a priority to me. And then just as time has gone on and different experiences in my life that I'll share some about today,
Mhm.
have really solidified that it's not just something that's important to me, but it's a passion of mine. So being well, being healthy, being fit, and helping others live that lifestyle in a balanced way is what I'm very passionate about.
Wow, wow. And so you're just literally adding to the fact that not you believe in this, right? You believe in it. You didn't just buy into it, but you believe in this. But you told me that there's a story behind this belief system as well. So if you don't mind, before you go into there, I have one more question. It's an important question. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. If you were able to describe your favorite desserts. Oh my goodness. Oh man, I'm thinking right now. I'm almost salivating at the what
Okay.
would it be and why?
Well, and I, so I mentioned like I want people to live healthy and well in a balanced way. And what
Yeah.
that means, so food is my greatest passion in life. And not just like healthy food, okay? Um, so if we're talking, I mean, there's so many things I love. Like donuts are one of my favorite
Mm,
things. But
mhm.
if I'm like, oh man, I really love ice cream. And usually what I'll look for is like something that is a combination of like peanut butter, caramel,
Mm.
marshmallow, and maybe a little bit of chocolate. I'm not as huge into chocolate, which is maybe crazy to some people, but like a combination of all of those things, it's like a little bit salty and sweet and really like
Wow.
unctuous, like fatty or whatever. That's kind of what I'm looking for in a dessert in general. I'll take it in ice cream for sure, but like maybe like a peanut butter pie or like I really love
Yeah.
peanut butter. That's one of my favorite things, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Wow. I'm also curious now to see how you and even Dominique became friends if you don't really like chocolate that way. Um,
Well, honestly, it's growing on me, and she's really turned me on to some of those like European like truffles, like Lindt truffles and stuff
yes.
like that. So yeah,
Yes.
no, it's growing on me for sure.
Yes, and Dominique talks highly about you, but it's your story that I know that draws a lot of people towards you. So I don't want to keep speaking now because you're the Thriver feature. And again, for those that are just joining, this is our first Thriver feature, but this is not our first time meeting Rachel. Many of you have met her in many different ways and facets, probably just the first friendly face you've seen on campus. But we're trying to do today is just to get a little bit behind the scenes of the person, behind the smile, what motivates this person. And so we have her with us today. So the floor is yours. Feel free to share whatever's on your heart.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So I know Dominique wanted me to kind of share about my experience having a stroke. So I'm happy to talk about that and kind of my recovery from that. And I will say, leading up to that, that happened in 2016. So I'm just over 4 years out from that now. Long enough that sometimes I don't like for a long time it was a very central part of my consciousness, like it was something I thought about a lot. There were a lot of things to remind me, but now I'm far enough removed that I forget a lot of times that that was a part of my life. But leading up to that time, when we first got here to Michigan, my husband and I had been married for a couple of years, and health and wellness was like not a priority in my life, and we had like really stressful jobs when we got here, and just going through school and things like that. And I kind of just got to a point where I just didn't feel good and I didn't look good. It wasn't anything extreme. I wasn't diagnosed with a disease or anything like that, but I just didn't like how I felt or looked. I was kind of at that point where I didn't want to be in pictures and stuff like that. And I was like, this isn't right. So that kind of just set me on a journey of looking for, what could motivate me enough to be consistent over time with healthier eating and with exercise. And after a couple of years of kind of trying out different things, I found CrossFit, which was really exciting to me. And it's not as much a part of like my regular lifestyle now, but when I first found CrossFit, it was here in town. Some friends of mine had started what's now Life RX Fitness,
Mhm.
and it was like there's so much variety in the workouts. It pushes you really hard. I'm seeing a bunch of hearts right now. Someone
Yeah,
else likes
yeah.
CrossFit, and other people I say CrossFit and they're like, oh brother. But it was an awesome community there, and there was so much variety with the workouts, and it really pushed me and it made me stronger. That was a really exciting thing because I've always felt like I could never be that like tiny girl person that like you
Mm.
see in magazines or whatever. So it kind of just like played to what I already felt like I was supposed to be like, which was a strong person. And you could see yourself improving. And so after kind of finding that, I got certified to coach in CrossFit and started coaching at what was then CrossFit Berrien. And so that was a really positive experience, and it became a very central part of my life. So I was there 6 days a week. I was training
Wow.
a couple hours a day, and coaching other people, and it was just a huge part of who I was. So in 2006, and that was probably, I think I got introduced to CrossFit maybe 2013. So in
Mhm.
2016, I was there at CrossFit Berrien with my
Hmm.
training partner and best friend, Joyce. Maybe she'll see this later. Hi, Joyce. Um, and I wanted her to take a picture of me because, like a gym picture, right? So it wasn't going to be a selfie. I wanted a really awesome picture. And I'm like, I'm going to kick up into handstand against the wall, but I'm going to like balance on a kettlebell.
Oh, wow.
So like the kettlebell's on the floor and I'm like holding it, like upside down. So I kick
Yeah.
up, I've got two kettlebells and I go to like just do like one arm. So I've just got like, just imagine me upside down like this. Okay.
Yeah.
And I held it for maybe like half a second, but it wobbled. And so
Honestly.
basically immediately I fell and like hit my face against the kettlebell, which hurt really bad, but it hyperextended my neck back like that. And I was mainly focused on whether or not I broke my nose. I didn't break my nose. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so lucky I didn't break my nose. And I just put some ice on it. We worked out. And like the next day I came back and we worked out. And then a few hours later, so this was probably like, I don't know, 36 hours after I had fallen, I was at work. I worked at University Towers at the time. And
Mm.
my neck just started to hurt really bad. And over the next like 30 or 45 minutes, it went from like a sore neck to all of a sudden the room started spinning and wouldn't stop. And then I started throwing up. Like, luckily, someone was there and brought me a trash can.
Wow.
I was in the copy room of University Towers and I couldn't walk or do anything. I was just throwing up. And so they called my husband, they called some other people over, and they're like, well, what'd you have for breakfast? And I was like, oh, I had leftover beef shawarma from a pita. So everybody was like, you have food poisoning. And I was like, but why can't I walk? Like, why is the
Mm.
room spinning? Okay. So it didn't feel right. Eventually I stopped throwing up because like everything was out of my system. And then I went home, and probably within another like 30 minutes or so, I lost all of the feeling very suddenly on like my entire left side. And now, if people who are familiar in the medical profession or who know about strokes would know, like, yeah, you're probably having a stroke.
Yeah.
But I didn't know anything about strokes at the time. And I just thought I just thought it seems so ignorant now that it was just something that happened to old people. Now I know that it can happen in the womb. It can
Yeah.
happen to children, teenagers, anyone in
Yeah.
life. And subsequently, I learned that strokes in young people, which would be considered maybe like 45 or under, have gone up considerably in the last decade. Like the
Mhm.
percentage of any kind of strokes, there's different kinds of strokes and different causes for them. What had basically happened with me was that, and we went right away to the ER. They were able to diagnose it. Well, they didn't tell me, but they were able to identify probably what was happening very quickly, which I'm very lucky because I've since met a lot of people that were not properly diagnosed at the hospital because of their age. So because they were young or in their 20s or healthy or whatever, the doctors were like, oh, like it's, you just had a concussion or whatever, and they don't identify it as a stroke. And the problem with that is that you need to have treatment for it within 3 hours of the onset of
Yeah.
symptoms for the most effective treatment. So they, identified it right away. They didn't tell me right away, so I didn't know what was happening, but that's okay. And they were able to administer a very powerful blood thinner at the hospital. And what had caused it was the fact that when I had fallen and hyperextended my neck, it basically like clamped an artery shut in the back of my neck, my vertebral artery over here.
Mhm.
And it never reopened, actually. Like if you were to take a scan now, which I have every so often, like it's still closed. But your body's amazing. Like it basically just grows veins around it. So I have all these extra veins just kind of like channeling
Wow.
the blood through. So that was closed, and it had blocked blood to my cerebellum on that side,
Wow.
and had caused the stroke. That was the cause of it. So after they were able to do the blood thinner, I was in the ER, or not the ER, but the ICU for a couple of days. They were able to do more scans and properly identify what was going on. And the next day, I still didn't know, like, honestly, I was just glad to be there, and they were taking care of me. And they were saying at that point, like, you'll be back to normal in a few months. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. Like, I can do a few months if that's the
Yeah.
case. But I still didn't know like what was causing it. And then later that next day was when a neurologist came in and was like, so you had a stroke. And I was like, what? How is that possible? Like, how, like, I didn't know that could happen to someone my age. So basically, I was happy to get very good treatment at the Lakeland Hospital in St. Joe. And I went home about 2.5 days later. And when I went home, I mean, I realized this in the hospital. There was a point when a physical therapist came to check on me, and that was when I realized I couldn't walk. So that was honestly definitely the biggest adjustment was not being able to walk. That sounds really silly, but when I got home, yeah, so Donnie had to help me basically do everything for a while. I could kind of get around if I was hanging on to things, but the following day after I got home, I actually went with a friend. This sounds crazy now, but I didn't know. They didn't tell me at the hospital not to drive anywhere. They just told me to rest. And I was feeling really gross, and I had a hair appointment the next day. And so I was like, my friend drove me down there. But the movement of the car, like basically when you have a brain injury, any sort of movement is jarring. And so just the vibrations and I like laid down and tried to rest or whatever. But when we got there, I like threw up a bunch. She did my hair. I got home, threw up a bunch, and all of that activity and motion and vomiting. I actually was much worse after that. So whenever I see that somebody like we've had girls like who've been in car accidents and stuff when I was working at Lamson, and they're like trying to get out and like do things. They've had concussions and stuff like that. And I'm like, you need to chill out. Like, you're going to make it worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, after getting home, it was a few months of relearning how to walk. I was able to get free physical therapy here at Andrews University. They basically used me for a class. So they kind of used me as a guinea pig for their students to practice physical therapy on, which was awesome. I didn't have to pay for that. I didn't get charged my insurance. There were a lot of blessings throughout that experience kind of coming back. One was that we had signed up for some special insurance that covered strokes. It covered cancer and some other things, and that's why we signed up for it, because we knew so many people that had cancer. And then it ended up covering a lot of our expenses for my stroke, which was really, really helpful. We would have been stuck with thousands and thousands of dollars, and we still had to pay a lot. But yeah, I was able to get free physical therapy. Dr. Olson at Physical Therapy, woot woot, if we have any PT students on here, PT students, headed that up. And yeah, another big blessing was like how closely it bonded Donnie and I. I mean, we had been married at that point for 7 years. Yeah, about 7 years, 8 years. Yeah. And that was kind of one of the first like really big things to like challenge us and challenge our relationship. And it was an immensely stressful time for him because he was still working full time and then taking care of me full time and doing all the things that I would normally do, you know, like cooking, cleaning, and whatever else. And he was just like a total champ about it. We got a lot closer during that time. I always tell people, like, if you're evaluating a relationship that you're in, then consider, like, can you imagine this person taking care of you for weeks or months or maybe years without getting anything in return? And can you imagine doing that for the other person? Because if you can't, you shouldn't marry that person, because these types of things happen. So yeah, one of the biggest adjustments, like as I practiced and did the physical therapy, I was able to get better and better at getting around and walking and things like that, which was awesome. But it was a longer adjustment to be able to get back to kind of my normal routines, which was working out every day and coaching and having that as a central part of my life. And that was really, really hard. Like, honestly, probably the most emotionally challenging thing. Like, when you're in a competitive setting like that, you see everyone else kind of like progressing, and kind of like it feels like just leaving you behind, and you're not just kind of staying in one spot, you're really taking steps backwards. That was really, really hard, but my community there at CrossFit Marion was super supportive. My training partner was really supportive. And a year later, I was able to do a workout that I had done maybe like a month before my stroke. So it was a it was like a CrossFit open workout, like a big, like competitive workout that everyone does. And I was able to get a better score. So it took several months, but the motivation, like having that as part of my life to begin with initially was extremely motivating, like for my recovery, like to get back to that point. So I also tell people that a lot too, like when you make health and fitness a central part of your life, it's not just that we know that it's a protective factor, and we think of it often as protecting us against disease, like later on down the road. But what people don't always consider is that it's a protective factor right now. If something happens to you right now, like if you were to get in an accident, the healthier you are, the easier it is for your body to recover. The more muscle you have on your frame, the more protected your bones and joints are, and your organs and all of that. So there's a lot of protective benefits right now in this moment for, you know, your body if you choose to be healthier and more fit and to make that a priority. And that's what I was able to experience as well. And like I said, it was very, very motivating to get me back to kind of that place. And there's little things that like I still deal with. So in the weeks after my stroke, I had very, very bad headaches. That's like a really common thing. And every once in a while now, like I might be talking to you and you might see me be like that. And it will just be like this searing 1 to 2 second intensity of pain. So that's kind of something that just lingers on. I had tingling in my fingers for a couple of years. And I think mainly now I just don't notice it. I think it does still exist. The vertigo, like where the room would spin, lasted for about 6 months. So you just kind of get used to it, and it was just less and less over time. If I tilt my head backwards or lay flat on the floor, oftentimes it will come back. So like the room will just start to spin. A fun little trick. Yeah, I have like super like dry eye on this side. This eye is always like a little bit more closed than this eye. So whenever I'm in pictures, I have to be like I have to squint this one a little bit, like make it even or whatever. So honestly now just so many little things, and I'm pretty thankful for them because they're reminders of what God was able to get me through. That experience more than anything else was so like spiritually enriching, because now anything that happens, like I know that I can face it with Jesus. like God was so good during that time, and the amount of like joy and support that I felt during those days when I was just like bedridden or whatever, like I can only chalk that up to the Holy Spirit. Like there's no real good reason that I should have had so much joy and pleasure during my recovery, but I did. And I think that's one of the greatest miracles that God performs in our lives is just that, like, we know that bad things will happen. That's an absolute guarantee. And Satan takes such great pleasure in orchestrating, you know, like things to happen in our lives. But in God's graciousness, like he's able to take whatever like Satan designs for our, you know, destruction and somehow 180 like transform it into a benefit for us if we allow him to do that. So that was one of my big takeaways as well. Yeah, nowadays it's something that I don't notice. I don't think about the fact that I'm a stroke survivor on a very regular basis anymore. I'm very, very blessed because I know a lot of people my age who went through similar stuff and are always going to be affected by it for the rest of their life, who can't walk properly or things like that. But I feel very blessed, and I'm really glad I went through that experience. So yeah, that's kind of that experience.
Oh, wow. Can we celebrate Rachel right now in the comments? Celebrate her for such an awesome testimony. And you did it with a smile. And I just want to say it is interesting how, just if I can recap the integrity of your story a little bit in regards to talking about the aspect of, especially, I don't know if anyone here that's actually listening, if you've ever struggled with body images or insecurity, body image or insecurity or body shaming. When you talk about the age of Instagram, social media, like there's this joke that we we only put our best picture up, right? But then looking at the behind the scene, what you just described, talking about someone that had this ability to try to do extremes, to like you laughed it off and smirked a little bit, but the reality of like learning how to walk again, you know, and having someone that moved so many times. And before we get to this closing, I just want to ask, how do you, because I know there's this, and I share this from a personal experience too, because my dad had one, and luckily my mom was there. He just fell out in the tub, and but for days he could not speak, and he could only say my older brother's name, and I almost got mad and jealous, like, hey, I've been here the whole time with you. He's in college now. But the short thing that I wanted to kind of address is that the fear of the unknown, you know? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I believe that we've all been thrusted into a level of uncertainty. But you gave us a response of that. So you talked about it, like riding it through with Jesus, basically. So now my question is, how do you use your information and your experience to help the students that come to you along with their struggles within schooling or adapting with the COVID-19 implications or losses of loved ones during that time? How do you help people move on with those struggles in regards to whether it's health related or using your expertise or your experience? And if you have a specific one that you can recall, feel free to share.
Yeah, so I feel like one thing that experience, like my experience of having a stroke, really highlighted for me was the importance and the value of resiliency. And I think that resiliency is becoming a more rare commodity amongst people in this day and age. When I was in the dorm in Lamson Hall and University Towers before that, you kind of observe this trend over time of people having less and less of that skill, which it is a skill. I think it's something, maybe, you know, a lot of people have it more naturally, but I think it's something that can be developed. So resiliency being, you know, like, yeah, like it doesn't mean that you don't feel the response to things, or that you don't ever have negative feelings, or that you don't feel beaten down, or, you know, it's just that how long do you stay in that space? So like that's resiliency, is like how can you move through, you know, that timeline and get out of that lowest low, like, you know, it might be steps or a ladder taking you out of that space, but how do you get out? And the truth is that even from a non-spiritual perspective, like obviously we have a very spiritual perspective about it. We see that Jesus is like walking us through these experiences and can bring us out. But even from a non-spiritual perspective, we know that like our response to things, and when we face hardship or difficulty, those experiences, once we get past them, make us stronger. And that's actually a very fundamental principle, even in the physical realm, as far as fitness goes. You cannot change and get stronger physically unless you challenge your body. So you have to experience discomfort and challenge. You have to push your body to those limits and be very sore, be very uncomfortable, be very tired, be very out of breath to increase your capacity in whatever area you're trying to do so. So it's a truism in every area of our lives. And when it comes to just kind of our spiritual and our mental and our emotional states, what I try to convey to people is, yes, like your feelings and your responses, your reactions, those are all valid, but in your benefit, like don't just let yourself stay in that space, like challenge yourself to move forward from it, looking ahead, knowing that when you are able to climb out of the hole, you will be stronger for doing it. Like, and the next time that something really awful happens, because we also kind of get in that mindset that like, I can never catch a break, or bad things are always happening to me, or why can't, you know, things just go my way? The truth is, for every time we climb out of the hole, then the next time we fall into it, it's easier. Like we already have the skills. So things don't have to be as bad the next time around. Even if the exact same thing happens, we learn how to deal with it better. and be stronger because of it. So that's kind of been something I've tried to share with the people in my path, is just encouraging them to build those skills of resiliency, and to, I mean, it sounds really cliche to like look at problems as opportunities, but that is fundamentally what it is.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I love the way that you framed everything you said, in the sense of even how you describe the people that come along my path. You sense that you see value in the humanity being restored through the difficulties, through reframing what we actually go through. And it just reminds me that, like when you described our response to our situations and resiliency, why we are made to thrive, you know. And if we can, before we go, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on at the Center for Wellness? I heard the pool might be opening up soon.
Yeah, so the pool is actually opening up on Sunday.
Hey,
That will be the first day that it's open. And we're going to have, I mean, just like the rest of the center, we'll have a much more limited capacity now in the pool, especially for lap swim. I got the hiccups. But we're not going to be offering swim lessons. We know a lot of like people with kids are more disappointed about that, but it will offer some more opportunities for lap swim and open swim. People will still need to sign up like they've been doing for workouts in the app.
okay.
If there's any students out there or staff that haven't used the center yet, all you have to do is just come in when we're open, stop by the desk. There will already be an account set up for you because you are a student or staff person, and we just have to activate it. We'll need a little extra information from you. When you come, you'll want to have your campus clear check mark ready from the app, and we'll take your temperature. And the first time you come, it'll take a few more minutes, but then it'll get much quicker after that. But yeah, we've had the fitness floors open for a couple of weeks now, and that's been going really good. We still have group fitness classes outdoors, but we'll move those in probably in the next couple of weeks, depending on the weather. And then, yeah, pool opens on Sunday. The sauna area with the hot tub and infrared cove, that is still closed due to state restrictions. So
Yeah.
we can open the pool. The locker rooms will be open too, starting Sunday, which we've had those closed. But the Healing Oasis basically is going to be the only area that will stay closed at this time. So,
Come on, girl. You better give us a walkthrough of the Center for Wellness. Come on. But I also want to just take time before we close here, just to remind those that are seeking co-curricular credits. You will see the link in the bio. And also afterwards, when we save the video for those that will be watching it later on, you will see it there as well on the IGTP archive story. You will see the link there. So, Rachel, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to pay you for this experience.
Well, hey, real quick, since you're talking about co-curricular, I just want to let students know that some of our group fitness classes are also available for co-curricular. You can find that on the Andreessen Center website under services, group fitness, and you'll see a whole schedule there of which classes are available for co-curricular. And you basically just attend the class and then fill out the form online afterwards. So yeah, do that. Sorry, go ahead, Denard.
Oh, no, don't apologize. Don't apologize. Only apologize for AirPods. Throw them in the garbage. But as I'm sorry. I feel bitter to all those that put that. But
not a single Android user spoke up for you.
I know. Okay. Your time is over. But I just want to say thank you. And I think I learned this from Dominique. I think it would behoove me to just again ask that you have the final word as a charge for the students in regards to the struggles that they may be facing currently, the difficulties at home, with just the switching to online classes, or not being able to actually do as much as they want to do in the space and the time. Just any charge or any challenge or any invitation that you would give people, or words of inspiration as we're closing here, getting to the end of our time, that you would like to share, feel free. The time is yours, and just continue to be great as you have been already.
So I would just say to everyone who maybe is still struggling with all the transitions that COVID has brought, just remember that it's going to pass. We don't know exactly when, but this too shall pass. And in the meantime, we're all developing a lot of weird skills that we wouldn't have otherwise. I mean, I didn't even know what Zoom was before
Come on now.
this all happened. We weren't, Instagram living as much, some of us. So, yeah, just focus on your skill development now, and how that will benefit you in the long run. And just remember, like, this will pass. It might be several more months. I don't want to say more years, but it's going to pass. We're going to come out of it. All right. And we're going to come out better than we were before.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you again for taking this time, being our first Thrive for feature. Thank you for your story. And also just thank you. Again, if you haven't had a chance to meet Rachel, stop by the Center for Wellness, get engaged. We are all made to thrive. This is your ThriveCast, and I am Denard, and I thank you again for your time and patience, and enjoy the rest of your day. Go Andrews.
Thanks, Denard.
Bye.
Bye.